doesn't give us that it doesn't actually give us that icon until we jump into a call, and it's like,
God bless electronics. That's all I gotta say.
Anyway,
so good. You're already more technical than I am, so it's great.
Oh, thanks. So I'm Jeremy. This is
Jeremy.
Ernie. For some reason, I always mess it up.
He always mixes the names up. We just kind of go with it. It's like, hey, I guess I'm Jeremy today.
I don't know my own name. Like, I don't even know. I don't even doesn't even make any sense. So thanks for thanks for hanging out with us, man. Nice to meet you, Lori. How's it going?
Yeah, lovely to meet you too. It's going all right.
Cool. Your day's going all right? It's Sunday night. It's not Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I have a son in college and a daughter in high school. My son was home this weekend, and they were like, "Are we still going to have Easter this year?" Because he's back at school next weekend. So we had a fake Easter today with like chocolate eggs hidden and stuff. It was ridiculous. So
you hid the eggs before they woke up?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to be doing it until I die because
that's awesome. That's awesome.
It's always fun. Like I hide them for the kids still, and then every now and then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I hid that thing there."
I know.
Sometimes, and now I gotta be extra careful because we have a dog. So I'm like, oh, I sure hope I find all these.
Yeah, we hide them pretty much in plain sight. Like it's goofy, but it's pretty cute that they still want to do it. So we're all in a bit of a sugar coma, overcoming that today.
Man, we weren't kids that grew up with the Easter with the regular chocolates. I think we maybe did it once. We're brothers, by the way. We didn't, like, my mom was like, yeah, Easter's not about Easter bunnies and chocolates. She's we grew up in like a pretty hardcore conservative, like kind of Christian home, so it was more like well, I won't get into it. Let's just say that for supper on the Sunday evening, on Easter Sunday, we had an interesting dinner, and my mom thought it'd be a cool idea to serve us rabbit stew. Like, you know what I mean? It was just weird. Just a weird. I don't know if she thought it was funny. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We still got a bike every now and then.
Yeah, I got a bike though. That was kind of cool. Yeah.
I mean, you get what you get, and you don't get upset, right?
Exactly. We were just happy just to be there, I guess. So anyway,
happy to sleep inside.
Yeah. So, Lori, can the people, like, so our listeners, just let them know your story and like what you do, and you've been doing this for 30 years now, correct?
Yeah, we're 30, almost 35 now.
Wow, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm a professional tarot card reader. That's my vocation. That's my career.
A full-time gig.
It is a full-time gig. It wasn't always for sure.
Wow. Can you?
But yeah.
So were you always from this area, from like the KW area? Are you from the KW area? No.
No. I'm in Oakville, just outside.
Oh, okay.
Like by Mississauga, Burlington.
Yep.
And I'm originally from Calgary. I moved out here with my husband in 2001.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
And we were in Toronto, and then we moved out to Oakville. So I've been doing it since like in Calgary. I actually was mentored by a good witch from Calgary named Erica. Yeah.
What's a good witch?
I mean, she's not a bad witch. She's not like about like goofy spells. It's not like, I mean, she basically, do you remember Elvira from the TV show with like the black hair and the cleavage and everything? She looked like Elvira, but with like platinum white hair, and she was like 4'11", and she was hilarious. And she fully had like, red velvet wallpaper and a broom and crystal ball. She was a witch, and like basically pagan. Like she just, and she mentored me on the cards. Everyone saw Erica, like my dentist and my parents, like everyone knew about Erica. And so she kind of mentored me on the cards. The spread I use, which is the pattern you put the cards out in, it's a spread she developed. It's evolved over the years. I've sort of adapted it to sort of my style, but yeah, she was the one who sort of really got me on the path, but I was always into it.
So you said that she was a good witch. Is there such thing as people that do this that are bad?
Yeah, I think there are. Like, I mean, people, it's your intention with this kind of stuff, right? I mean, if you're truly pagan, then you're not doing the bad stuff, because it's basically just worshiping, like instead of worshiping a deity, you're sort of worshiping nature, and it's very in tune with like the seasons and the earth and everything. that was kind of her. She wasn't super hippie though. Like she looked like a goth. She looked like kind of Elvira, and she was into spells and stuff. But she would just talk about sort of the intention, like the intention behind anything you guys do too. Like everyone, it's your intention. So you know, if you practice like witchcraft, which I don't really do. She was more into that. But you're doing it with like a nefarious intent. You know, if you're doing it with like bad mojo. Then that's not good, you know, and there are people out there who do that. So, and that's why tarot sometimes gets a bad rap. It gets lumped in with that kind of thing. But no, she's all good.
See, like when I think, sorry, but when I think bad, I think like Satanism, because like I think like you're not in there to help people. You're there to just see the world burn, and like that's how it comes across anyway.
Yeah, all of it, like whether it's tarot cards or any kind of like belief system, anything. I always say it's kind of like a hammer. You know, you can pick up a hammer and you can go hang a beautiful picture on your wall, or you can go smash in a windshield. You know what I mean? It's your intention, right?
I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So that's a beautiful way of saying that.
Yeah, whether it's with religion or with, you know, food or with how you treat people, like it's, your intention is everything. So my intention with tarot has always been inspire, empower, and enlighten. Like that's my little, and my tagline, like right off the bat, I tell people it's woo woo without the cuckoo. So
I was reading that.
Yeah, you get a sense of like my approach to it. You know, I'm into it. Obviously, it's what I do, but I'm not nuts, and I'm not like goofy, stereotypical like fortune teller. I'm in the boat.
Yeah, that's not the vibe we got. And it was funny. Like I read your bio on your website, and I was just going through so I could kind of I like to have a little bit of background, but not too much that it'll interfere with like questions. But like this idea of woo woo and kind of like that idea where it came from. I watch a lot of videos on different things on YouTube and like understanding like science and psychology and like philosophy and like this idea that there's some people that are just have like they just make up things. They just make up this woo woo so it makes them sound good and smart. Like I'm not gonna say his name, but his name rhymes with Meepak Lopra. That's all I'm saying. He has been put into that category of woo woo from actual scientists and people that are involved with what he proclaims, and it's an unfortunate place to get into. So it was really cool to kind of read you and actually know someone who you know that you've done a couple of readings for. And when I heard about you, I was like, you know what, that would be a pretty rad podcast. I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I was wondering how you guys came across me. I mean, my husband has a great beard, but that's kind of like our main connection.
Maybe that was it.
Probably initially.
No, I did hear about you through a couple people, a friend of mine, and then a wife's friend of mine, and then
cool.
I think I saw you during the summer last year doing it was during I think it was a new moon, and you were doing like a candle burning with one of Ernie and I grew up with Ryan Ossoffy and his wife.
Oh my God, Ryan! Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ryan and I played football together. And Ernie went to high school with him.
They have a podcast too, I think.
Yes, they do.
The Laughing Couple. Shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it kind of connected. How I found you, and I was like, that would be a pretty good chat. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that guy. It's funny, Jeremy. The thing I do that you saw, I do. It's a full moon little fire ritual, because full moons are all about letting go and releasing, right? Like that's when the power of the moon kind of reaches its peak, and then there's that release. And so we kind of harness that power and do this little full moon fire thing. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I call it burn your shit.
Yeah. Let it fucking go.
So, and I sell a little burn your shit kit online that comes with like a little cauldron, little matches and stuff. But you don't need that. You can just do it in like a frying pan or a bowl from your kitchen. And it's interesting because you could do this. You just write on a piece of paper, like, I now choose to release whatever. I now choose to release this toxic person from my life. I now choose to release anger towards whatever. I now choose to release shame about blah, blah, blah. And you say it out loud, and people, because it's on Instagram Live, they just see me. No one sees anyone else. And I kind of lead them through it. It's like half an hour start to finish. And you say, I now choose to release ba, ba, ba. And then you light it on fire. And as it starts to burn, you say, and so it is. And then I now choose to release ba, 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 and so it is. And watching these words burn is really empowering and cathartic. And no joke, I got to haul my cookies out on my front porch, regardless of the weather, because people are joining in from like Kenya, Panama, Italy, Kuwait, Australia, all over the place. And the feedback I get consistently, it doesn't like solve things overnight, but there's a lightening and kind of a loosening, and takes the energetic cap off the toothpaste, and things can start kind of shifting. And it's very, like I said, it's very cathartic. That's feedback I get, and I always feel great doing it too. So that's kind of as witchy as I get. I mean, everything I do seems pretty witchy, but that's pretty.
Yeah, is there an origin for that? For that type of ritual?
I don't know the exact origin, but I mean, if you think of like, I belong to, a women's circle as well, and like women gathering and in a circle and doing, any kind of rituals around like fire is the most purifying of the elements. So again, we're getting kind of witchy with the paganism, and water's the most purifying. Air is the engine that makes it all go, and then the earth. We always put the ashes in the ground. I just chuck them in my garden at the end. So it does bring in the elements. And so it's definitely, I'm not saying definitely, but I presume it's, it definitely has, I would presume it definitely. I'm quite confident that it has origins in like paganism.
Yeah, because there was, I don't know if you've seen it, there's that brand new 007 movie, and I think they're
Where are you going?
They're in Rio de Janeiro, I think it is. I think it is anyway, because I think I saw the statues in it. But anyway, I watched it on the plane, so I was kind of making sure my little one was trying to jump out.
Get on with it. I wonder where this is going.
So they were also doing the same thing, where like they were going in town, and like they were seeing like ashes fall down. And they're like, "What's going on?" And they said like they're releasing of things that they want to release, and they're burning it, and they're throwing it like kind of out their windows throughout the whole square. So as they're walking down, they're seeing them. See, I was going somewhere with it. Don't worry.
I thought you were just going.
Well, yeah, and you know that Indian holiday. It just happened actually. It's like a holiday of color, and you see everyone covered in like really bright paint. They actually also gather in a circle around a massive bonfire, and you throw coconut shells into the fire that contain the things you are ready to like let go of. So
I'm looking up the name of it right now.
Different cultures.
Yeah,
I'd love to go see that. That would be cool.
Like, and like it's interesting how things from like paganism or like different religions and different cultures, we have our own way of kind of releasing like what we're worried about or what's bothering us, or like we have like these. It's interesting how everyone has like their own way of like kind of like dealing with our shit that we're go through, and like a way of releasing it. But a lot of people don't. So I want to get back to this, but I also want to
Holly is what it's called. Sorry.
Okay.
Holly.
I want to get back to this idea of releasing things, but I also kind of want to just hear more of your story. So were you always into this? Like always when you're a kid, you're just like, I know I can help people with like how did this all kind of start?
Well, I always just sort of thought it was interesting, like anything kind of metaphysical, I was totally into. I don't know, this is going to age me, but there was this show years ago called In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy from Star Trek, and it was always like
I know that show. I know
that
like
show. In search of UFOs, in search of this and that, and I love that kind of stuff. And was always just, really interested in things like palmistry and seances and things, Ouija boards, although that's some bad juju. Don't go near Ouija boards. I don't like that. And then when I found Erica, she was just, because I grew up in Calgary, it was pretty small town back when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s. So she was kind of it. There was no internet or anything. There was one little kind of woo-woo emporium that you could go to get your any kind of crystals or whatever. It was probably a head shop too, now that I think about it. And and so it was always this kind of interest. And even when I have a communications degree, and I worked for like as a corporate director for telecom companies and stuff and ad agencies. Like I had all these, but I was not great at it. And I was always doing tarot on the DL, and like I always tell people, and it's legit, I'm not exaggerating, I did not get fired from at least 3 jobs because of tarot, because I would like give my clients tarot card readings, or I would give, tarot card readings at the staff things, and people loved it. So it was always like a through line.
Oh, interesting.
Hey, you were on that to find
Oh, get the hell out
there
of
was
here.
that In Search of Bigfoot. Right?
Get the hell out of here, man. Yeah, hilarious. Hilarious. Let everybody know. You're
the
funny.
brotherly love is
You're funny. Funny. You're funny.
That was a good episode.
What were you alluding to before? Okay, so this idea of how now in this this age of do you think it's really popular now, tarot reading? Do you think it's like a newer thing? Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm noticing more of this like it's more of a I'm not going to say the word trend, but this idea that more and more people are kind of like going and finding new age spiritualism and new ways of because people grew up with religion and it didn't do so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what's happening now is it's much more accepted.
Yeah.
All of this stuff, just with people getting more into, everything from like naturopaths. Like when I was growing up, naturopaths were kind of seen as sort of like witch doctors a little bit. Like it wasn't as commonplace. So things like tarot or, smudging or these little ceremonies and rituals and things that people do. I think, people are looking for more, because personally for me, something like organized religion, it's outward, like you're going to the church and there's the this and the that, and whereas the kind of spirituality people seem to be seeking more of is more inward focused, and it's more like just you're in your own space doing it.
Yeah, I get that.
Like it's coming from within a bit more, and you're looking for ways to sort of get that from within rather than from a church. But then something like a church is great because you can get a sense of like a really strong sense of community.
Yeah,
community.
Yeah.
I say whatever floats your boat.
Yeah. Like Ernie and I grew up pretty hardcore. And not to say that we've we're done with religion, but like it really like we went through the gambit. Like Ernie and I went through like a private Christian school, like a private like what was it? Like what do you call that? Like it's a private school? Yeah, it's called private.
It's private.
Yeah, and then our parents were really hardcore into that. Like church every Sunday. We had church group on Thursdays. We had like, you know what I mean? Like and like at home, it was like strict rules. Like we like if we could have we're like the poster kids of like we had extreme like Christianity at home. Not to say it was a bad thing, but you know what I mean? Like a lot of the kids we grew up with, like a lot, I would say 98% of the kids completely went the opposite way. A lot of people.
That's what happens, right? I mean, my kids, you could not pay them to get a tarot card reading from me. They want nothing to do with it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
Okay.
They're just like, no, thank you. I mean, I have a son in college and a daughter in high school, and she thinks it's kind of cool. And I got some like cool people following me on Instagram and stuff. She thinks that's kind of fun. My son is just like, don't follow me on social media. I don't want people to know anything about this, which is fair. Like, I get it.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing kind of like your own thing? Like you got away from like doing communications for you were saying like major companies and stuff like that. When did you kind of say, this is what I want to do full time? And how was that transition?
I think it was probably like around when my kids were born. So almost like 19 years ago now.
Wow.
I started, sort of exiting from the real corporate roles and would do, freelance writing. I'm a writer and just started getting these kind of nice little freelance writing gigs I could do from home. So that was nice, and always had these little easy for me things to do to kind of get that consistency and security of a paycheck, or, and because I tried a couple of times to kind of go all in on the tarot, and it was a bit of a gong show, because as soon as it's like, this is paying the mortgage, it's like, and it it just clenches everything up.
Yeah.
So I was, a couple of times I went all in, didn't go great. Trying to be at these different places, that would have like selling crystals, and they'd have a palm reader, and they'd have this, and I was doing tarot, and I just kind of expected people to show up. Like I was a bit naive and thinking that it would just, I'd go there and the people would be already there for me, So I decided to be a little smarter about it, kept my consistent little writing clients going and doing the tarot. And then I just eventually got to a tipping point, like in the last decade or so, where it was the tarot. One of them had to give, I just wasn't able to, I just didn't have the capacity to do it all. And it's interesting because as soon as I like cut the cord on the other stuff, it created that vacuum that the tarot just filled. And then when the quarantine and COVID of it all happened, that's when everything really took off, because instead of being kind of word of mouth and local, everything went online. I went from like 20% of readings being online to 100, and it took off.
Wow.
I do readings for people all over the world.
My gosh.
Really cool. It's really cool.
Wow. And
when you switched from corporate to full time, now I know you were doing the writing as well, but when you went to full time, did it change for you, like doing tarot reading?
Yeah,
Like
did the
quality?
The quality, and for you as
100%.
well. Like, did the situation change for you? Did you kind of get a different feeling for it? Like, because now it's your job. Did it kind of have a different feeling for you, or did it always kind of seem like
the same
Yeah,
desire to do it?
It was gradual because, the more readings you do, the more confident you get, the more comfortable you get.
Yeah.
And over time, you really do get a dialogue going with your deck. So a lot of the cards, the Tarot 101 meaning doesn't apply to my interpretation of the card at all. And tarot is just a tool. Like, I'm sort of channeling. You'll see, we're going to pull some cards in a bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting a little bit nervous over here.
Yeah, no, we're for sure we will. But you get more comfortable with it. And what actually, Ernie, was the main turning point for me is when I lost the book years ago that comes with the deck that's like tells you what each card is. And I lost my little cheat sheets from Erica, the witch who'd mentored me. And I was like, oh God, what do I do now? It's over. And instead I had to really rely on myself and my own, it really forced me to tap into my intuition. And what does this card mean to me? What does this story mean to me? And so that was a real turning point. And then the next one was when I really just stopped giving a crap what anyone thought about the tarot reading I gave them. Because if I'm concerned about what you think about how I'm doing, then it puts the focus on me instead of on you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm. So instead of, it's like, you know what? I call them vignettes. I get these weird little kind of visuals in my mind. I get my goosies I always talk about. I get like body sensations. I usually have, I was reading downstairs earlier. I usually have a big ass thing of Tums beside me because I'll be like, oh, I don't like him. I need a Tums. That all really heightened once I was just like completely not like filtering or censoring myself and just saying just channeling really is what it is. It's just saying whatever came into my mind. And sometimes it's really weird stuff. I'll say it thinking, well, that sounds crazy. But the person I read will be like, oh, that totally tracks. I totally get what you mean by that.
Interesting.
All right.
Yeah. I'm sure you get skepticism like when you're kind of like doing it. And I even so for me personally, like I've grown up, as I kind of told you, and I had skepticism even on the simplest thing like naturopath. And my wife and I went through a time where we kind of needed more help medically than we were getting. And literally, like for years, I'll be honest, for years I always made fun of naturopaths. I'm like, this is nuts. Like all the oils and stuff, and it didn't make sense to me. And then it got to a point where I like you're going to the medical community and you're hitting constant walls and you're trying to advocate for care. And then I'm always hearing, hey, have you tried going to see someone? And I know I was like, no, we're not into that. And then it gets to a point where not as like a place of desperation, but a place where you're like, what's it going to hurt? Like, what's it going to hurt? And so we ended up going to a naturopath, and this lady gave us more information about kind of what was going on than anyone had. And it helped us really key into the situation, and it turned the page. And it was interesting taking that little bit of a chance in something that I completely like a year before was like, this is woo woo. I'm not into it. I don't believe in it. But a different perspective on a situation in a time of like need. And this person was able to speak this wisdom that I'm like, first thing, the doctor takes about 5 minutes in the office and just like, okay, well, here's some medication. If it works, let me know. If it doesn't, come back. And not a full assessment. This lady spent an hour and a half of this speaking, asking about the whole history, went into the whole thing. And it was pretty amazing. So I'm sure you've had people have had that kind of path where they've come to you and go, okay, I'm skeptic, but I'm struggling. And maybe you can kind of give me some clarity on what's kind of going on in my subjective reality kind of situation.
Yeah, for sure. And I welcome skeptics, and I get it. Like even with the naturopath thing, I get it. Like one person can't be everything for everyone. And so, and I always tell people with my readings, I'm very upfront. I have a whole little spiel I say to start every reading to just kind of set the energetic framework.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always very clear, this is not fortune telling. I'm not going to be saying you're going to meet Vinny at a 7-Eleven on a Wednesday. That's goofy. Like that's not my jam. But what I do is we kind of just hook into your energy, and you draw me a little map, and then I help you read it. And it gives you a sense of like a little peek behind the curtain to see the energetic lay of the land for, now to 6 to 9 months out. And then you do whatever you want with it because you have free will. So anyone ever claiming to be psychic who says, you must do this on this day, ooh, that's nonsense. So I welcome skeptics. I mean, if someone comes in and they are just absolutely not open to it or almost like kind of fearful of it, it's not going to work, because for me, it feels like there's like a cement wall that just goes up.
Yeah.
And often I'm not going to say often at all. A couple of times I've given people readings where it's like that. And often when that happens, I'll do my thing and I feel confident that like, I'm giving you the information that you need to hear. It might not be what you want to hear, and they will not be catching what I'm throwing, or they're not going to be catching what I'm throwing. And that's cool. Like that's fine, but it's what you need to hear. And I'll often hear from them down the road, or if they came with a friend, because that's what often happens. They kind of get dragged along and they're like, ooh. And I'll hear from the friend down the road, like, you know what? Totally panned out what you said. And she was like, holy crap. So I don't take offense, because again, then it's about me.
Right. Exactly what you were saying before.
Yeah. I'm not everyone's flavor, and that's fine.
Yeah. I think you got a pretty rad vibe. I don't know. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen here. Do you have any more questions? Like, you want her to read you want to do this, or how does this work? Start us through this process. I'm kind of interested in this process. I don't know what to do with my hands. Yeah, just keep them up.
You guys, first of all, breathe. I can feel you a little tense about it all. It's going to be easy peasy. What I'll do is I'm going to take turns just staring at one of you, like whoever I'm reading. I'm going to stare at you kind of awkwardly and shuffle the deck, get your mojo in there. And then we're just going to ask the cards, what do you need to know right now? And I'll pull a few cards, and then those cards together give you a little story.
Okay.
Yeah?
Do him first.
Yeah, Ernie, you up for it?
Sure.
Okay. And if you hear me knocking the deck, I always knock it to just kind of get a little palate cleanser from the last reading and just to knock out the last one. Sorry, did I cut you off, Jeremy?
No, I was going to say, I just wanted to say thank you for doing this. Like, I know this is your full-time job, and we're asking you kind of to do this pro bono just to talk to us today. So I appreciate it.
Here's the thing. Like I said, I've been doing it for decades. I've given thousands and thousands of readings. Every single reading I do, whether it's like a full 1 hour reading or just pulling some cards for you guys, it's fascinating to me because I'm already covered in goosebumps. And I'm always just like, oh my God, do you see how this works with that and that? I think it's so cool. So it's not like you're asking me to go dig a ditch or clean the toilets, you know?
I wouldn't ask you to do that. I actually can dig a pretty good damn
dig a damn good ditch.
Yeah, if you need a ditch,
I will leave the ditches to you.
Yeah, call us up for
your ditch needs.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm staring at you, Ernie.
I was gonna get out of the camera, I think maybe.
It's all good. You can be there. I've given readings in the craziest situations, so this is nothing. Okay. I'm going to close my eyes. I don't know why I always have to. I'm just going to ask, what does Ernie need to know right now? I'm going to pull 3 cards. Ooh, okay, this is good. Are you ready?
Yeah.
We're getting into it. So first of all, it's interesting because the cards that you're getting are all really kind of reassuring cards. Like there's always kind of a vibe or a fingerprint or like a tone of voice for a reading, and yours it's very reassuring with one tiny little kick in the ass. So first of all, we've got the star, and the star for me is one of the 4 luckiest cards in the deck. So right off the bat, it's good mojo. It's also a card of destiny, just reminding you that the good, the bad, the ugly, it's all kind of part of your path, you know, and certain people and opportunities and experiences, they show up in your life for a reason and a season. People come into our lives to teach us and be taught by us. Sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes 20 years, but there's a reason for it. And this card is saying, like, when this stuff shows up, you have free will. So what you choose to do with it is up to you. You can kick its ass, let it kick your ass, learn from it, dance with it, ignore it, whatever, but it's there for a reason. And this card is saying too, like, don't get too caught up in, well, what was the message, or what was the meaning, or what was the purpose of that, blah, 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 blah. Just grab that lucky stardust and shove it in your pocket and go hit the road and do your thing. And there's usually perspective down the road to be able to look back and go, okay, I kind of get why that happened. Okay, that makes sense. But we always want to know in advance rather than in retrospect, and that's just not how it works.
Okay.
So that's the first card. I'm going to tell you what these 3 cards mean individually, and then you'll see how they work together. And then you've got this wonderful card. It's the most reassuring card in the deck. You see this old man here? You can see his white head. It's always an old white guy. You got the old man and the dogs and the money and the land and the family, all the stuff he's been surrounded by, right? That he's acquired over his life. And this card is reassuring you, saying, Ernie, you're going to be the old guy one day. Like, it's off on the horizon. It's on the distance. You're not deviating way off course. There are twists and turns and peaks and valleys to getting there, but you're getting there. So take this card and any worries associated with it, shove it in a drawer, and come back in like 50 years. And then you can be the old guy. But right now you've got other stuff to focus on. So don't spend so much time worrying about what the last day on earth looks like, because there's so many days between now and then. And, everyone wants a tarot reading to be told it's going to be okay. And I always say, that's not how tarot works. Tarot's like, here's your homework. Here's what you got to look at. Here's what you got to do. But this is the closest that a card gets to saying it's going to be okay.
Okay. There you go.
And then this last card is like the little kink in the garden hose to this good mojo. Okay. You got to watch out for this.
I'm happy I just got one, so that's good.
This judgment card is some nonsense. Okay. It's reminding you, as judgmental as we can be of other people, we're always so much harsher to ourselves. Right? The things we think to ourselves, you'd never say to a friend, you'd never say to your brother, because he'd be like, why are you so mean? That's horrible.
No, he's straight up with me.
I'll tell him.
Okay, well, you wouldn't say to, let's say, your wife or your kids, because they did just be like, oh. And this card is saying, you got to tell your inner critic to zip it, because there's too much yippity yap going on. And we have these, expectations of others that are on this sort of pedestal that can't possibly be met. Everyone's disappointed. And then the expectations we have for ourselves are even more out of whack. So this card is saying, just stop it and go easy on yourself. And remember, we're not here to be perfect. We're here to be whole. And that can be a stinky, snotty, sweaty gong show. And that's okay. That's life. Like, sometimes it's a mess, but we're doing the best we can with what we've got. So make sure that you are talking to yourself and treating yourself with the same kind of care, consideration, love, respect, kindness, patience, forgiveness that you would extend to a child or a best friend. Okay? So do you see how basically you're getting these wonderful, reassuring cards of like, because the way you can take advantage of this good star energy, this good star luck card, is to understand sort of the role of destiny, and don't be trying to like figure out every step, because it's part of the path. So just like kind of go with it, and ultimately it's going to be okay. So don't worry about it. But then you're kind of like shit talking yourself and kiboshing it. You feel that way?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Makes sense for you?
That lands 100%.
Yep.
It's interesting, right? Because it's not saying like you're going to buy a new snowmobile and you're going to have a great deal on it. Like, it's not like that. It's kind of like you're life coaching yourself. You just had a little conversation with your soul. I'm just the interpreter.
Man.
Yeah, no, that was on the nail. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that was.
I had that conversation with myself in January, so yeah, that was pretty much.
And you know what? It happens literally every other reading I do, that I'll say something and then the person I'm reading is like, okay, I was just watching a thing on YouTube about that, or, oh, I was talking about that with my husband the other day, or, oh, blah, 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 I dreamt about that. And then the rando comes along with the tarot cards, and it just gives you that validation, right? Of thinking like, maybe there's something to that. Right?
There you go.
Yeah, that was really good. Thank you.
Take that and run with it, my dude.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Jeremy, you up for it?
Yeah, let's rock and roll.
I thought of some questions I gotta write down so I don't forget.
Is it okay if I jump right to you, Jeremy? Or
absolutely. Yeah.
I got the awkward stare going already.
No, it's all good.
We're doing it. Okay, I'm gonna cut the deck again. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So let's ask, what does Jeremy need to know right now?
What's my debit card number?
Okay. I mean, you're getting some homework with yours, okay?
I'm all about the homework. Let's do it.
The first card we've got is the Emperor, and honestly, he's a bit of a boring card. He tends to represent a place of business, an organization, an institution. He's the bank, the government, the job, the school, the hospital. He's just a building. Okay, so we're just going to kind of put a pin in that. And as a part of this, you've got this card, the Fool. Now, there's nothing stupid or foolish about the Fool. The message behind the Fool is always leap and the net will appear, telling you that you have to take first steps, not knowing how it's all going to end up. And sometimes you have to take a first step. You don't know what the second step looks like, but the point is to take the step, to go from static to dynamic, and to remember that you don't know what you don't know. And God, Buddha, universe, whatever you want to call it, usually has a better plan for us than we have for ourselves. So if you think back to a time where you got where you wanted, or where you wanted to be, or got what you wanted, and you're thinking, yeah, this is what I wanted, but how it happened was nuts. Like, that was crazy. You could never predicted it. And there's universe going, hi, I could have, I was there, remember? So take the proof of it happening in your past to help you have faith moving forward that it could happen again. The vibe of this card is like you're standing on a pool, looking down in the water going, or down at, you're on the diving board looking down in the pool going, is there water? Can I jump? I don't know. I can't see. And this card is saying, honey, there is water in the pool. You can jump. You just don't know what the temperature is. And you're not going to know what it is until you jump, but it won't be boiling. It won't be ice. It will be something you can manage.
Okay? All right.
And then that's not even the homework card. Then we got the Page of Cups, because in order to do what the Fool is asking you to do, you need to do this homework that's coming with the Page of Cups. This is going to sound very romance specific when I start talking about it, but bear with me. You'll see how I'm going to bring it around to every area of life. Page of Cups is asking you to allow yourself to become more available, accessible, vulnerable from a heart space. Because it's saying you got these walls up that had to be there in the past because they had a job to do, and they don't need to be there anymore. So you can just bulldoze right over them. And there's all this woo-woo crap you can do, wear the rose quartz crystal, do a heart meditation, like if you want, sure. But from a practical point of view, it's about being open-hearted and living in a wholehearted way, saying how you feel, no strings attached, doing something for someone, you don't expect anything back. And it doesn't mean you don't have boundaries, like here I am, but for people who deserve the spot and have earned that right to the inner sanctum, those walls can come down. Now, most importantly with this card, I'm covered in goosebumps, it's about understanding that vulnerability is a place of power and strength and growth. It is never shame, weakness, or fear, because you can't be brave without being vulnerable. Courage and vulnerability go hand in hand. It's putting yourself out there unapologetically, authentically yourself, knowing it's enough because you're enough as you are. So the homework that comes with this, do you know, you have Netflix, yeah?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Brene Brown?
No.
I've heard of it. I have heard of it.
No.
Your wife may have.
I'm going to write it down.
Brown, it's like Renee with a B in front and then brown color. And she has one of the most viewed TED Talks of all time. Oprah loves her. She has a great podcast, blah, blah, blah. But she's the world's foremost researcher. She's a social scientist and very data-driven about shame, vulnerability, leadership. She works with Navy SEALs, professional sports teams, business leaders, but also talks about like her and her husband. And she really sees vulnerability as a superpower. And she has a special on Netflix. It's called Call to Courage, and it's kind of like a TED Talk. It's an easy watch, and she's almost like a stand-up comedian, so it's a really enjoyable watch. And that's your homework, is to watch this, because the first time I saw it, I was like, frickin' Brene Brown just took the Page of Cups and extrapolated it into a Netflix special. How's that happen? So that's what I want you to do. And I'll tell you what, I gave a reading a few months ago to an OPP officer. He'd been in the forces for ages, and he got this homework, and you could tell he was like, okay. And he got in touch with me after. He's like, oh my God, I cried the whole way through. I'm gonna make everyone at work watch it. Like, it really had an impact. So do you see how doing what the Page of Cups is asking you to do in terms of that vulnerability and stepping into that, getting those walls coming down, is what you need to have the courage to take the leap that needs to be taken, right? And then this Emperor is a part of that, whether it's like going back to school or it's something with work or blah, 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 blah. Like, this is sort of the least important part. The Fool and Page of Cups, that's the main part of your message.
Oh my God.
Make sense?
Yeah, almost too much. I'm a little shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sound like Ryan Ostafy the first time I gave him a reading. He was just like, what happened? And that's 3 cards. Like a reading normally, I'll use like 40 cards. There are 78 cards in the deck. Like, imagine how much can come out of a full reading when just 3 cards, even just 1 card. On Instagram, every morning in my stories during the week, I pull a card of the day. And I always think it's just for me, the message. I'm like, why am I even posting this? But all day long, I get DMs from people going, oh my God, that's my message. How'd you know? Like, it's cool. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty cool.
My God, I don't know what to say. You're gonna have to talk for a while. Yeah, usually I'm the one who talks. I can't.
It's all good. So I have some questions. So
hang on. What? Let's process this for a moment.
Oh, I know. Trust me. I am.
Jeremy just got terrified.
Wow. Not to get. I can't even. I don't want to get into it on the podcast. I don't even want to. It's too heavy. I'll get too emotional talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna have to move on.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So I have a question about the cards. So now I know that like the meaning, like you were saying, it's not according to the book and how you were shown, but like the meanings to you. Mm-hmm. Have you like, I know like for the most part for the reading for myself, and I know it wasn't 40 cards, it was only 3, but are they always like I know it's your spin. Is it always on like a positive note, or are they ever kind of like, you're like, Jesus,
you got like 3 negative ones?
Yeah.
You're like,
that's a great question. I always say there are no bad tarot cards, just bad tarot card readers. Okay, because even the cards that are heavy, like the Devil or the Tower or the Moon, like they're but like for me, the Devil comes with homework as well. Because with my readings, it's never like, this sucks, see you later, where's my money? You know, it's like, okay, you're in it, guy. Like, you're in the shits right now, but here's what you need to focus on, or here's what you can do to help yourself get out of it. Like, it's never. There are cards that are heavier and represent some work that needs to be done. And it's funny because I'll often get that question of like, do you ever have bad readings or like bad cards or scary cards? And I'll often get that question after I've just told someone about every single one of the heavier cards. I'm like, dude, you got them all. Like, these are the cards. But it's the way, because again, my mission, empower, inspire, enlighten. You know, I'm not here to tell you like, say goodbye to the dog. Like that's, what's that doing? And I'm not here to talk about people dying. The death card has nothing to do with physical death. It's one of my favorite cards. And even if it was about physical death, which if you Google it, it's not. People who do that, you know, in the movies or whatever, it's like, spoiler alert, we're all going to die. Like, what's the big fortune telling prediction on that? You know, let's focus on what you need to work on in this life, in this body, in this moment. That's my approach.
So after the reading, after the cards come up, do you do a little bit of like a chat with the person that's hanging with, or do you just give the cards, say what they're meaning, and say, and go? Or is there like a counseling aspect to the readings for you with the person?
Oh, yeah, a lot of people say it is kind of like, oh my God, I feel like I just had 10 years of therapy and a tarot card reading. Like, I get that kind of thing a lot. There's definitely dialogue during a reading. It is a lot of me just talking. And then at the end, we always leave time for questions that someone may have that wasn't addressed in the reading, but it's left to the end because usually what you came for is addressed in the reading. But yeah, we have some chit chat, and it depends on the person. Some people are like, okay, thank you, okay. And they don't really have much to say, but they could be kind of like you, Jeremy, where they're like, what just happened? And they're kind of processing, because I just like verbal diarrheaed all over them for an hour, right? Whereas other people are very chatty, and they're like, oh my God, it's so weird you said that because blah, 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 blah. And they'll just tell me everything. And you know, oh, this is that. Yeah, it depends on the person.
I gotta say, I'm absolutely shocked by what you said. You hit like I don't know about you, but you hit like some core things that I'm like. So the Emperor, it's just hard. The Emperor, the King, I got
Emperor.
The Emperor card. I am going back to school. I am going through this process of continuing education. That's all I'm about. The idea of the Fool, of jumping in, like I'm actually really good at new things and jumping in. But it's interesting how that tied in with the cards of cups. That's
the vulnerability.
That's definitely a thing that's like, you know, for all I think any kind of man, that idea of vulnerability is nothing easy, but it's something that I've been kind of like thinking about a lot. This idea of but you said something really interesting. I don't know if you remember what you said. This idea of you had a role where you had to put up a wall to have a situation, and this idea that wall has to go down and it's okay, and it's just like, what? Like that's oh, okay. Yeah. It's like something it's so weird. I'm kind of just like shocked. I don't even know what to think about that.
And Jeremy, I mean, just wait till you watch Brene Brown. Your head's gonna pop off your
I wrote it down. Like, I think you're about to hear a lot from me in the next 42 hours, 48 hours, 42. 42. Specifically 42.
Less than 2 days.
When people have you ever had like, not to like a lot of the reactions of people, like you were saying, like people just go, okay, thank you so much, I will go away now. And then the people who sit and talk, will they continually like, do people come back like once a month, every 6 months, once a year, once every 5 years for tarot cards? Like what's the
Again, it depends. Because I tell some people at the end will say, okay, when can I come back? And I'll be like, lady, you got to go live your life. Like, come on, man. I just gave you all this information. You got to go process it and work through it and stuff. And I'll say always, you'll know when it's time for a reading. Some people like to come every year on their birthday. And some people like to come almost quarterly or like seasonally almost. Others will just kind of like every few months. There have been maybe 2 or 3 occasions in my entire career where someone's called like within days or within like a week. And every time I was kind of saying, okay, you've got to go, just go out and live your life. It's too soon. And this one woman in particular said, well, since the reading, I've told my husband I want a divorce. We put the house up for sale and I quit my job. And I was like, oof, okay, how about tomorrow? Yeah.
Wow.
Because here's the thing, like, as you've seen, you get kind of like everyone leaves a full reading for sure with me with some homework. Like there's always certain cards have homework. And it's never, like I said, you have to go like do some big whatever. It's like, watch this Netflix special, go burn your shit, and what people do with that is up to them. I'll have someone who comes back a year later and I don't remember readings 10 seconds after I do them, which is why on Zoom we record them and I take pictures of the cards. But some people will come back and say, I got all these cards last time. I'll say, okay, well, did you do any of the homework? And they're like, no, not really. What? So, well, then not much has changed. Whereas some people, like that lady, will come back a month later. Everything's changed and it's crazy cards. My best friend, who was my sort of original client, like I've been reading her since I had my deck. This deck is over 30 years old.
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah, it's over 30 years. It's really faded. But she was getting the same cards. She basically thinks she's a tarot card reader because she gets these same cards and she's been getting readings for so long. And she made some really big changes in her life in the last like 5 years or so. And all the cards changed. I don't read her all the time. Maybe once a year I'll give her a reading. But she's like, what's this card? What's that card? I've never seen that card, which was really interesting because she's been exposed to the cards for a while now. But if you don't do anything with the information, then things may not change that much.
Yeah, exactly. If you, I think anyone in life, if they don't do the homework, you're just gonna sit and with that cloud over your head, be like, nothing changed, and you're like, well, what did you do?
Yeah, and you know what? It's a choice, and that's if you're not ready, then that's totally fine too. That's a choice. Yeah, and I'll be here if you want to come back and hear the same thing in a year.
Get the same cards again. I'm going to tell you the exact same thing.
Because how does that phrase go? You don't move forward by looking behind you, right?
I've never heard of that, but that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Like our whole thing on this podcast is like this idea of positive mental attitude. This idea that in life we can make choices and we can do things. And there's going to be negativity and there's going to be ups and downs, and it's all about this perspective on not like everything's rainbows and sunshines and like nothing bad's ever going to happen. It's being real. It's understanding that things happen, but you can always be positive in most situations. Like if let's say you got a flat tire on the side of the road, and then some guy pulls over and helps you out, like, hey man, you just made a new friend. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's always a light in all situations. Like the absence, darkness is just the absence of light. That's kind of our whole idea of this podcast is stories and talking to people and just this idea of positive mental attitude. So
it's like what Tony said, right? You never lose if you're positive. You'll just learn, right?
You lose, you don't lose, you learn. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's actually a card in the deck that reflects that ethos. That out of every situation, circumstance, relationship, whatever, there's a takeaway. Like maybe not a gift or a lesson. You know, you don't have to get carried away with it. But even if just the takeaway of, well, now I know what I don't want, or thanks for being a dirtbag, now I know what boundaries are, or being able to hold space for someone down the road in a way you could never have otherwise. You know, there's something to take from it. And it doesn't mean that you're just like, oh, it's great, when it's not. But it's more just not marinating in the gap.
Yeah, exactly. Not marinating, and that's spot on. I don't even know what to ask. I'm literally like I'm usually pretty great at just keeping things going.
So I looked into the actual tarot cards themselves. Have you seen any of the really old cards before? Because apparently the original cards where they were created, it's impossible to find like the original cards. Have you ever gotten to see them?
I've seen pictures, just on Wikipedia or whatever, because the decks, they've traced the first tarot decks back to, I think, around the 1600s. They were Italian court games. And it's interesting because the deck is separated into what's called the major arcana and the minor arcana. And the major arcana is like the Tower, the Star, the Fool. The minor arcana is like the Six of Cups or the Two of Swords, and there's like cups, swords, wands, and coins, the four suits. And it actually evolved into a modern deck of cards. So the cups became hearts and the wands became spades. Coins became diamonds. So they've been around for a while. They were really, really taken on. This deck I have is the Rider-Waite deck, and it was developed, I think, in like the 1920s or 10s or something. And it was used more for like the metaphysical stuff, but it was used sort of like, to play like, hearts or whatever, like the equivalent of hearts in 400 years ago. Yeah.
Have you ever gone to get a reading by somebody else before that you were just kind of like, what is this?
Like in a good way or a bad way?
Yeah, like in a good way. They're just like, it was something you weren't expecting.
Well, Erica, my witchy friend, she's the only one. I mean, I've had readings on and off over the years. There are a couple of people I've seen recently that are pretty good. Not really with tarot though. Erica's my only like tarot reading, because I can pull cards for myself. I'm happy to do that. If I see someone else, I want them doing like astrology or palmistry or something different that's not really in my wheelhouse. But I've had Erica was awesome. She would tell me, I'll tell you guys a funny story. She once told my mom, I was in university, and my mom, everyone saw Erica, and my mom went to see her, and Erica said, but she'd say weird things. You kind of have to bring her back on track, because she'd just say random stuff. And she told my mom, oh, Lori's going to meet a celebrity, and oh, she's going to need a new toothbrush. And my mom was like, whatever, I don't care. Tell me about my job. And then I was in university at the time, and I didn't see my mom until the following week, because I was going on a ski trip over the weekend. And little did she know that the day she saw Erica, I actually cut class with my friends, and we went and we were extras in the movie Cool Runnings, and I met John Candy.
Oh, no way.
And then I went on a ski trip that weekend, and I lost my toothbrush. So I needed a new toothbrush. So she'd blow your mind with stuff like that, but like, who cares? Like, that's part of like, I don't care about that, about the toothbrush. Like, tell me who I'm going to marry. Like, I wanted the fortune telling, and it doesn't, she'd be interesting with her hits, but it, not, you're going to have these many kids, hear their names, none of that kind of stuff. I think that's goofy.
Yeah, but tarot is correct me if I'm wrong, is mostly about just like the person you're reading, right? Like you would never, like, it wouldn't broaden out to like loved ones that have passed and stuff like that, right? It just focuses on you. No?
Oh no, I get that happening. There's I mean, you can ask about another person in a reading.
Oh, okay.
It tends to not be so much about like dipping into that person's energy. It's more what you need to know about dealing with that person. So if you were to ask about like a spouse or a boss or whatever. Now, with the angel stuff, like people who've passed, mediumship, I always tell people, I'm not the Long Island medium, like talking to your Aunt Gladys or whatever, but there is a card here that's the Temperance card. That's for me, it's the card of angels, spirit guides, ancestors, those who've passed. And it's a whole big spiel I go into about how to connect with that energy, because what that card is saying, you're being called to do that more, because that energy is there waiting to connect with you.
Okay.
And like I said, I get my goosies and stuff. It'll come to me some very, very interesting stuff, like angel stuff, where it's people who've passed, but I can't call upon it. It just sort of comes in or it doesn't.
Okay.
And it's usually as soon as someone will come and say, and often, I've got goosies just talking about, often I'll just say, you know what, I feel, and I'll do my little, like, I'm not the Long Island medium, blah, blah, but I'm feeling this, and this message here, like, it feels like it's from someone who passed. Like, it's not just in the cards, it's like out there, because my scalp's about to, levitate to the ceiling with the goosies. And sure enough, that person's, grandmother died the month before or something like that, which is super cool.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you walk around feeling vibes? Is that something like happens to you? Like, you'll be at the shopping mall and then there'll be this person in front of you and you'll be like, whoa. Like, is that something that's like, is like a gift to you? Do you think like you can kind of feel that? Like you were saying, you were sitting with us and you're feeling your goosebumps and like hanging out with us. Like, is that something for you that like you like, oh, okay, I'm feeling this person's like this something's happening?
Well, sometimes I'll get like instant distaste, like a dislike. And that's why I have my Tums beside me when I do my readings.
Hey, she didn't pull the Tums out for us.
Yeah, we didn't get a Tums. Yes.
It's never for the person I'm reading, but often when they're asking about, like, what about this guy? What about that guy? I'll be like, ooh, I don't like him. I need a Tums. But when I'm sort of out in the world, you know how you get vibes for someone, like you get an instant kind of read. I think that's everyone. It's just some people have it turned up more than others. The thing that's interesting for me is I always thought, just because I'm a writer too, and, pretty creative, I would always sort of have these little imaginings about someone, about people. And I kind of think that it's actually what it is. It's not just me kind of making up a story in my head. I never tell anyone about it because it sounds nuts. And it doesn't really serve anything to be like, oh, I think you're cheating on someone. Like, but I don't talk about that kind of stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna go. I'm back in action. I'm flowing again. I'm flowing again. Where has like tarot reading taken you, like over the world? Like, is it just Canada, or have you gone different really interesting places? Like, have people like hired you for like I don't know, like Dubai or something, or like anything crazy like that?
Well, I haven't, not where I've been physically flown.
Yeah.
But also everything really did get heightened during COVID because everything went online. So, I mean, I've always done, and being in Toronto, it's been pretty great for being able to be at like events that are pretty sort of a high caliber. Yeah. But being able to do the readings on, like, I do corporate happy hours and stuff online because everyone was trying to like zhuzh up their Zoom meetings, when they were like week 79 of quarantine. So I've done readings for like TikTok and Twitter and Fairmont Hotels and Pepsi and like all these big companies, which is cool. And I do it from here, which is great.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I've got, and some very interesting people too, like some really cool people, but I don't talk about who I give.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to be like, I bet you like you've had some interesting, like, because it's a personal reading, right? It's like, it's very private.
You have to say names, but does it rhyme with Mustin Bleeber?
No, absolutely not.
She'd probably be like, hang up.
Hang up, yeah. Yeah.
This call is over. No.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
How is it harder to do now that, like, obviously you're really good at it now because of the stupid pandemic, but like, was it kind of a hurdle to get over, like doing it over Skype, or is it just still the same feeling? Like it didn't really matter to you?
It's funny, when COVID hit and everything went online, I was not skeptical, but I was a bit wary, thinking like, how the hell is this going to work? Because I didn't think anyone would really want to do it because everyone wants to touch the cards. And also just kind of thinking, oh, okay, I don't know. And the more I did it, what I've come to realize now, sort of, almost 3 years later, I think the readings are better online. I think people, when you're in your space, when you're in your habitat, and you're just more comfortable, you're more open energetically, and it's just easier, and it's energy, so it's not confined to a room. And also, if we were in person, I wouldn't let you touch my cards anyway because they're 35 years old and people were getting really rough with them. So these are like senior citizens. Like I need to be, only I touch them now. So there's no real benefit. And also when people, you know, I'll go to events though, like I'll do events. I was at one last night and do tarot parties at people's homes and stuff like that, depending on, but again, I can do that online. I prefer it. And it just makes it easier because I can see more people because the demand is really, really increased. I got kind of sick at the beginning of this year because I was just not being mindful of my own like energetic output.
Wow.
And I got pretty burnt out. So I have to be really mindful. And if I'm like hauling my cookies all over Ontario, but I'll tell you what, for the right price, I'll go anywhere. Pay my way. I'll drive to Sudbury. Why not? But if I can do it from home, I think it's honestly better for everyone.
Beneficial for everybody. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it is fun to, you know, have the tarot card reader there. I have a number of events happening in the summer now. Like, and I'm going to Calgary, which is my hometown, but I'm going there to do tarot in May, and I'm going down to LA in July.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
We said we wanted to go down to the what was it? The not the Laugh Factory. What was it? The
comedy cellar.
Yeah, the store.
Yeah.
We wanted to go down there because like all the big people that we followed on podcasts were doing it now. That store's shut down apparently.
Well, it's not shut down, but it's just like I think we should wait till the place in Texas opens up.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a question, and then also my mind just like whoop, just slipped off my back. When you're doing this, like I know right at the start of the podcast, you said this is my vocation, and it's interesting that you use that word because I use that word too about what I do as a career. So for me, it's interesting. Like you do this, and this is your full-time gig, and it like you're saying it's just like your full passion. And I kind of wanted to ask you, what's the most impactful part for you? Like, what makes you pretty jived about doing something, even like a podcast or just doing a reading? Like, what's exciting for you?
I think because this is my calling.
Yeah.
I think it's my mission to help people heal, to help people grow, to help people get a better understanding or a different perspective of their lives and their potential, and maybe to hold space for them until they're, you know, when they're a bit wobbly, until they feel like sturdy enough to be able to take that space for themselves. And it feels great to be able to do that. Like I gave a reading to a lady this past week who I read every year on her birthday, I guess. And last year, the message was self-care. She's like, honestly, by the end of the reading, I was like, I get it. Enough already. Stop saying those words, self-care. And I was also talking about like, pay attention to details. Don't let things slip through the cracks. And, you know, and I always use little examples like get that mole checked. That looks weird. And there's certain things I say with every card. And that was one of them. And a couple of weeks later, she was, you know, I don't know, having a bath or something. Cause she's like, okay, fine. Self-care. I'll have a bath. Jesus. And she noticed like weird mole on her knee. That was like, oh, that's a different color or something. And she went to the doctor, full on melanoma, got it operated on like that day. And if she hadn't had the reading, she said she never would have, she wouldn't have seen it. Like she wouldn't have noticed it, and it would have gone unchecked. And the doctor was like, no, this is a big one. So I just got that feedback this week, which was, you know, that feels good.
That feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's pretty cool to know that you can make that little bit of a difference, not a little bit, got lady had melanoma, but like that difference within people's lives. Like, oh man, that is so cool. That's like, it's pretty awesome. This is pretty awesome what you do. Like,
I'm very impressed.
I'm really lucky. I worked hard and I'm really good at what I do, but I also feel really lucky and really blessed that this is like, I am paid to give tarot card readings. Are you kidding me? It's the greatest job ever.
And man, you're good at it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know how this worked. I have no idea. Like we've told you our background. Like we were grew up in a very religious background. And I think of myself as a person who's like, you know, I think I have a pretty foundational idea of spiritualism, like in like monotheistic kind of way. But like I was not sure how this was gonna go, and I am absolutely shocked. Like I gotta do my homework, and then I'm gonna message you and be like, hey, I watched that YouTube.
I know. Listen, I always tell people once I give you homework, it's like you're accountable to me, so I expect you to send me a little DM and let me know what you thought of Brene.
You too.
I already know what it is.
I didn't know what his is too. When you said his one card, I was like, yeah.
I've been hearing that one for a long time.
Yup. My gosh.
Maybe this time you'll listen.
Yeah, bro. She's gonna hold you accountable, man.
I know.
She's gonna get in his DMs and be like, yo, what are you doing with your life, bro? Oh my gosh. Lori, I can't say enough. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I don't know how much time you have left to hang out, but so how can people get a hold of you? What's the process of like getting a hold of you, like to get a reading?
I mean, the easiest, probably the safest way is to just go onto my website, which is just tarotlori.com, tarotlori.com. And there's a little contact us thing, and you can send me a note through that. Or on Instagram, I'm at tarot.lori. Now I do get these scammers, which our friend Ryan keeps assuring me is a sign, like it's a sign I'm making it, because I get these people impersonating my account like weekly almost, trying to scam people from fake readings. So I as soon as someone contacts me through Instagram for reading, I take it offline or I'll take it onto like email or website. So, either way, but just make sure it's tarot.lori. No underscores, no extra I's, none of that nonsense. That's the best way.
It's interesting you say that, because Ernie and I got approached. We get approached a lot about people trying to make money off of us, or you can make more money with your podcast. But this lady messaged me. Remember Ernie, I messaged you, and she's like, "Hi, I'm a white witch, and I want to come and talk on your podcast, and I can put some spells out for you, so you guys can be more positive.
Yes, we get more listens."
And she was also like, I can also like help you guys with like protecting your lives and stuff. And I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa. And I was like, and then I messaged her. I was like, I was kind of like afraid. I'm like, I was like, we would be down maybe to talk, but I'm like, I'm good for spells. And she was like, she's like, you don't want the world to be afraid of you? I was like,
oh my God.
And I screenshot it and I sent it to her. I was like, I'm like, you know what? I don't really want to make you mad. So I'm just going to be like, how can I block you as fast as I can? It was just creepy. I got a bad vibe too. I kind of felt sick.
Well, it's good that you hooked into that. And anyone who goes around saying I'm a white witch, like, and spells, no. That is some nonsense. And that's sort of like that tapping into that no bueno kind of energy. Yeah. So you just keep on keeping on without it.
I did. Yeah. I did a little prayer and was like, hey, I feel like maybe I don't know. I'm gonna ask you this question.
Yes.
I feel like people whose intentions are good maybe have like a thing around them that it kind of protects them. Like I had like this feeling like I'm okay. Like I'm not worried about a bad spell. I'm not worried about stuff like that, because like I live a certain life where I'm trying to intentionally put that kind of goodness in the world intentionally. Like, is that a thing you think?
I think so. And I think it's something you're not necessarily being intentional about in terms of like putting some sort of force field around you, but I think that is happening. That is happening in a way that you're not necessarily conscious of, for sure. At the end of readings, like at the end of every day, I do a little, you could call it a prayer or a meditation of just like disengaging and clearing from all that kind of energy. When I'm done tarot readings, I wash my hands like I'm going into open heart surgery, just to like break those connections. But if you anyone, I would never solicit people for readings.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Especially people I don't know. So, because I'm too busy giving readings, you know what I mean? And
people are coming to you,
you don't.
It was really freaky, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't. For someone who I like, sometimes I'll meet someone and I'll just be like, a little bit later, go, you know what? If you ever want a reading, like it would be my pleasure to give you one. But it's never like, hi, I'm the tarot lord. Would you like a reading? That's
I was like,
weird.
I said, Ernie, I'm like, you have any sage I can burn or something? Like, we're gonna cleanse this place up. Like, it was really weird, but it was man, again, I'm actually like kind of like dumbfounded about how this whole thing turned out. I don't know about you, but
I came with an open mind because I'm like,
me too.
I'm pretty. You know what? I'm pretty open now.
Yeah.
I've been trying to be kind of relaxed a little bit, and
yeah, we're that's our whole vibe is just having a good time. I don't know if you've checked the podcast where we came on. If you knew some weirdos, but like this is our whole vibe, and this is like. I'm gonna like tell people about this forever. Like this has been very, very interesting.
Like I started my homework in January, so that's good.
Well, then this is validation. You're on a good path, and to keep going. You're not done.
Well, it's I got told in Mexico I was kind of a heel, but
you are a little bit of a heel, Chief. Yeah, but it's okay. That's okay.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
See?
Anyway,
I'm gonna send you. I'll DM you the picture of your readings. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, he needs. Yeah. He actually, his wife was like, "Don't forget what she tells you."
That's hilarious.
Well, you recorded it, thank God.
Yeah. This will be recorded in two versions, video and audio. It'll be released in about a month. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, it will be. Anyway, Lori, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, we
absolutely.
Really
this has been a fun one. I hope we can talk again.
So fast, my God.
Yeah. We're an hour and 10 minutes. Yeah, that's how it goes. We'll be like 3 hours deep and be like, I need to like go and do something else.
It's to come with the color purple. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, you know what? I hope we can do this again. Maybe you know what? Let's do it a year from now. Next, like maybe in the beginning of next summer. Yeah. And check in with Ernie on his.
Hey, don't put me in the corner.
No. Both of you.
Yeah,
you both got things to work on. Yeah. We always do. Everyone has stuff to work on.
We will talk. Perfect. But I just want to say thank you so much. Absolutely.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Talk to you later.
It. Okay. Bye.